7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Now live.
89.5 WSKB.
Live from the campus of Westfield State University, this is 89.5 FM, WSKB, Westfield.
Support for the community programming of WSKB is provided by the Dunkin' Donut Shops of Westfield and the Sardinia family. It's nice to know that even as the world changes, Dunkin' Coffee remains the same at 7 convenient locations throughout Westfield.
Good morning, Westfield. It is 6:05. You are listening to WSFD 107.5 on your dial and WCPC Cable Channel 15. My name is Tina Gorman. I'm your Wake Up Wednesday host, and I'm in the studio this morning with the chairman of the board and our chief engineer, Pete Coles. Good morning, Pete. What's going on over there?
Who's not having a good chief engineer day?
I know. What's happening? We have little...
There's something weird going on with this
on.
computer and the audio. All of a sudden, I don't know if it's a Windows update that did it, but there's something funky, and I'm trying to read up on it. I was trying to figure it out yesterday, and I thought it was like, all right, I got it to a point where it's manageable. And then today it's not.
It's not so much.
I don't know.
Yeah. Although it seems okay right now, knock on wood.
Well,
let's see.
With us, it's because we're hearing each other in real time.
Yep.
We're not going over the digital realm. That's going on the recording, so there might still be hiccups.
Okay.
I can see when they're happening. I just don't know why they're happening.
Okay. Well, okay. All right. It happens.
Yeah.
It happens. You'll figure. I have every faith in you, Pete. You'll figure it out.
Ugh.
All right, my friend. Did you have a good weekend?
Yeah. I left my part-time job this weekend. I resigned.
You did?
Yes.
Pete, this is breaking news. I had no idea. Was this in the works?
I was thinking about it, hemming and hawing about it. We kind of did our budget and see where we're at. And it's just, it's tough because I realized a couple things. I realized that with the truck coming online shortly and the radio station, I'm just pulled in 10 million different directions. And I foresee myself having more weekends than not where I'm going to be busy here.
Yeah. Okay.
Or at least one of the days on a weekend.
Yep.
It doesn't really lend myself. They need me available over there, and I'm not really going to be.
Yes.
So more. Plus, I kind of need a life.
You know what, Pete? You are going to be a married man in a month, and I
know, but even before that,
yeah,
tough.
I know.
Like
Believe me.
We had to schedule weekends away, where because I had to book 3, 4, 5 weeks in advance.
I know.
So yeah,
I hear you. I'm right there with you, my friend.
I'm kind of surprised because it's tough to leave money on the table.
Yeah, no, I know, especially in this day and age, in this economy. We go to the grocery store, food prices are like climbing by the minute.
Right. And it's nice that if you want something, you pick up a couple extra shifts and that's okay.
Yeah.
But they have requirements. You need to work at least 3 to 4 shifts a month. Mm-hmm. And I just can't anymore.
Yeah.
Like it just came to the point where, and honestly, my boss was very gracious. He said, I kind of felt this coming.
Yeah, exactly. Sometimes you sort of get that sense. Boy, I have to tell you, I did not, although I should have. I mean,
Well, for me, it's still tough to let it go. You know what I mean?
Yes,
Because I've been doing it for 15 years.
I do. I know. I get it.
It's tough to let that go.
Yeah, I get it.
And then Monday night, we honored myself and a good part of Springfield honored a Springfield College graduate.
Really?
Yes. John Cena.
John Cena. I saw his picture was on the front page of the Republican today. I didn't get a chance to read the article, so I figured he must have been back in town.
He came in for his last appearance as an in-ring competitor in WWE.
Okay.
Just basically cut a promo at the beginning of the show, and all his buddies from he was an All-American, Division III All-American.
Yeah.
And so a lot of his buddies from the team came in and were in the skybox, and then the chief content officer, Paul Levesque, Triple H, one of the wrestlers, and his wife, Stephanie McMahon, their daughter goes to Springfield College.
Okay.
So she was there with a whole bunch of her friends.
Yep.
The reason I knew it was her and her friends, I've never seen her before, so. But when you come up with a police escort,
Yeah.
You're the boss.
You're important.
You're the boss's daughter.
Right. Yeah. Well, you had texted me, and I thought to myself, that looks like some kind of like a boxing match or a wrestling thing or something. I was trying to look at because you said you had texted me and said you were at MGM. So
so
Gary used to run into John Cena when he was teaching at Springfield College, and he was working out in the in
the gym.
Yep.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
every time he comes to town, if he was going to be competing, that's where he'd work out.
Yeah, he'd work out there.
And his best buddy from college still lives in East Long Meadow, and he's kind of his workout partner. And John's flown him all over the world to work out with him before big matches.
Nice, very nice. Well, I too had an exciting weekend, Pete. So Gary and I went down to New Jersey for our 50th high school class reunion.
That's awesome.
And we graduated in the same class, and we went to the same high school. And people say, "Oh, you were high school sweethearts." We really were not. We were good friends in high school, and we would share with each other who we wanted to date. So we were always trying to help each other out. It's like, Gary Gorman really likes you. He wants to ask you out. Would you say yes if he did? And Gary's like, "Hey, so-and-so, are you going to the varsity art dance? Tina's close. He would love to go with you." And, all that stuff. So, yeah, we used to do that. Didn't date till the summer before we went to college.
Yep.
And then it was on and off for, 7 years. And then we finally decided, you know what? No one else could live with the two of us. So why don't we just get married and we'll just be with each other. So, but anyway, it was a great time. It was really interesting. I think this was the first reunion, because we're all in our late 60s now, that we started to see classmates. Well, for one thing, we graduated. There were 272 in my high school class, and we have lost 32 of them already. And some who came back were, kind of, a few were almost unrecognizable, mostly because of health issues. So, yeah, you start to really realize, like, this is not just fun and games and partying anymore. We have people with some serious stuff going on. But it was great to see everybody. Gary was down there for 4 days. He called it a 6-course meal because there were people that flew in from everywhere. Gary played football and ran track in high school. And there were one of the football players who lives in California, but his sister has this beautiful, beautiful home in Bedminster, New Jersey. So he kind of she hosted for some of the football players a smaller gathering on Saturday afternoon, which was really nice because that gave us a chance to just really sit and talk to people for an extended period of time, and kind of catch up. And there literally were people who I had not seen in 50 years. There were some people who had never come back to a reunion, because of logistics,
I didn't go
finances,
till my 30th.
Whatever. Yeah, yep. And I had the ultimate compliment, I think, paid to me by one of the football players who I had not seen in 50 years. And he was at the smaller gathering on Saturday afternoon. And he saw me and he said, "Oh my gosh, Tina Gorman." And he gave me a big hug and he said, "You know what?" He said, "You were one of the few normal ones when we were in high school." And I said, "Okay, explain." And he said, "You know what? You were one of the only ones who did not get caught up in all of the drama." He said there was a whole lot of drama going on back then. And he said, "You managed to just stay out of that stuff." And I said to him later, I said, that was just such a nice compliment because I really worked hard not to get involved in all the drama. And, because even back in the 70s, we had drama even before, cell phones and smartphones and the internet and all. We had drama. And I really tried to stay.
It was just played out back when we were growing up. There was still the drama, but it wasn't as out front and open to the public as it is now.
Yes, I agree. That you're exactly right, Pete. It's much more public now, but it was all
like it was
bubbling and simmering.
Your small groups knew about it because you talked at lunch
absolutely.
Or after school or whatever. Yep. Now the entire world knows about it. And if you're not built to handle that, which people aren't nowadays. It can be soul crushing.
It absolutely can. And it absolutely can.
They wonder why there's fragility right now.
Yep. And anxiety and depression and suicide rates and all of that stuff. Yeah. I mean,
like people of our
really
generation, your generation, right?
Yeah.
Can say, whatever, it's the internet, who cares?
Yeah.
Nowadays they can't let it go because it's like a drug.
Yeah.
I watch it sometimes with my fiance.
Yeah.
She can't put her phone down. It's just it's amazing.
Yeah. It's like stop.
And we were at the event, right? She's videoing everything. I'm like, be present in the moment.
Be in it. I
did a little bit of pictures and stuff, but I wanted to watch the show.
Right. I did, we had a former classmate who was not in our class, in one of the other classes, who does, photography on the side. So we had him there, and one of the organizers had her son was there, and he did, the music, and he was taking pictures and candids and so forth. And she said, I'll put a book together, and you can, we'll put a book together. You can purchase the book, at cost. We're not out to make a profit. We just want to, And I said, great, I'll buy the book. And so I didn't even take out my cell phone to, Gary took a few pictures, but we just had a few people taking a few and then sending them to each other. And it's, but as you said, Pete, that was really one of those where you want to be present because, a lot of people
are watching life go by and then they're looking at it later on their phone and going, I think I missed that. But because you're looking at it through a lens.
Right. Or, this is really just an opportunity to catch up with people. So Gary and I kind of spent some time, yesterday saying, well, who did you talk to? Who did you talk to? And Gary said he had the benefit because he went down Thursday. Friday, one of the basketball players had organized a golf outing. So there were 16 or 20 of them. So Gary said,
wasn't right up Gary's alley.
Yeah, and that was good because, Gary said we played golf and then they all went out for pizza or something. So that was kind of catch-up time. And not all of those people could attend on Saturday night. Okay. So he did get, to see some people that I didn't. And then Friday night there was another Friday. That was Friday afternoon, and then Friday night there was another thing, and then Saturday there was another thing. So I didn't get down there. I met him down there Saturday. I left early Saturday morning, and by the time I got there, Gary said, "Oh my gosh," he said, "I've already gone through 4 courses of this 6-course meal." He said, and he said it was a lot. He kind of had a rest in between, but. A lot of fun.
Yeah. So, I'm trying to be present, right? So, Chrissy's like, oh, when can I go down? And she thought she wasn't going to have a good time and because it's wrestling and whatever.
Yeah.
And she was really funny because she was like, I said, did you have a good time? And she's like, yeah, actually I did. I was surprised. I had a good time.
Yeah. Yeah. And a lot of times that happens, where it was funny because at the reunion, there were a lot of our classmates, and I understand why, came solo, even though they were married. It's like, look, this is going to be strolling down memory lane.
Right. You should never go to a reunion with your spouse.
And it was
unless
funny.
Obviously your spouse was in your class.
Well,
but
here's the thing. Right, exactly. There were 2 couples that got married, Gary and me, and Donna and Bill Hughes, and we were both couples were there. And I think both of those couples have been to all of the reunions. There was one woman, we stayed at a bed and breakfast.
Your favorite one, right?
No, not our favorite one. Our favorite one was Book Solid. I think she had a wedding or something, but I found another one, very nice. And there was a friend of ours who contacted Gary about a week or so before the reunion and said, where's everybody staying? He said, because he was coming up from one of the Carolina, from Charlotte, from the Charlotte area. So Gary said, well, Tina and I are staying at a bed and breakfast. We'll check and see if there was any availability, which there was. So they ended up staying there, which was really nice. So we did that whole thing. So they stayed with us. His wife was with him, and she is a realtor in Charlotte, right? So the morning after the reunion, so Sunday morning, we're having breakfast together, and I said, Sherry, you're a really good sport for coming to this because, you don't know all these people and blah, blah, blah. She said, oh, are you kidding me? She said, everybody's in their late 60s. They're all retiring or, semi-retiring. She's over there trying to sell real estate. She's convincing everybody to move down to the Carolinas because there were a lot of people that came up from the Carolinas that have retired down there. So she's busy, I said, oh, she's busy passing out her card. And, and then I thought to myself, my God, she's a realtor, totally outgoing, totally didn't care that this was a reunion where she wouldn't know anybody, except for she had come 10 years ago too. So she was hilarious. But then there was another woman who came who was, married to one of my classmates who is now a oncologist, very successful down in Florida. She came in at the end. She said, okay, next time he's coming by himself because, he left me in the dust. And,
sure.
She's
That's what you're trying to catch up with people.
I get it. I totally understand that.
So before we go to break, I want to show you how good the WWE is merchandising. What color is this hat?
It's red.
But look at the actual color. That's Springfield College red.
Yeah.
The textile is the Springfield, the way they do the Pride logo.
Yep.
And then there's the Springfield College
Never
diamond behind it.
Okay.
That's his college number.
Okay.
And
very
then,
cool.
And then the same text on the back.
Last time is now. Very cool.
I was
Yeah.
like, that's attention to detail.
Yes, it is attention to detail.
And the shirts had the Springfield College triangle in
The
it too.
triangle, yeah. Body, mind, and spirit.
Right. And his is hustle, loyalty, and respect.
There you go.
He did
There
the
you
3
go.
words, but
I love it.
it's amazing the
Yeah.
attention to detail that they have for that kind of stuff.
And I appreciate attention to if anyone appreciates attention to detail, Pete, it's me.
Yes, absolutely.
All right, our guest is waiting in the wings. You are listening to WSFD 107.5 on your dial and WCPC cable channel 15. We're going to take a short break with our song Call the Doctor because we have Dr. Akinyele Lovelace waiting in the wings. We'll be back in just a minute. Literal.
Got this monkey on my back, got like nipping at my heels, turning on my wheels. What's this pain in my chest? No, I really don't want to gas. Appointment overdue. See, Joy ain't hollered when I woke up yesterday, and I can't remember if I took my meds today. It's alright, I won't remember anyway. Rock it like a two-step, then call the doctor. Then call the doctor. So you got a little foot pain, unexpected weight gain. It's time to refrain from what you do. A little noise in your cup, sounding blast, that's what's up from over the spoon. You see, I can't tell you that you really need to learn. It's no fun walking around when you got heartburn. Alright, it's time to know that you really need to go and call the doctor. Call the doctor.
Support for community radio on WSKB is provided by Betts Plumbing and Heating Supply Company, an independent, family-owned wholesaler serving Westfield for over 50 years, specializing in plumbing, heating, and industrial piping supplies. On the web at bettsplumbing.com or at 14 Coleman Avenue in Westfield.
Hi, it's Bob Plass, and I have Wow, It's Tuesday. Every Tuesday, 6 to 8. Wow, it's Tuesday.
Community radio.
89.5 WSKB.
I did it.
You're listening to 107.5 WSFD-LP, Westfield Community Radio in Westfield, Mass.
Good morning, Westfield. It is 6:22. You are listening to WSFD 107.5.
I really got to redo the morning one. That my morning's a little bit more mellow than that.
Thank you, P. It's like I hear it. It's like,
Yeah, I know.
yeah, but that's okay. We're getting there. It's a transition process. So we're working out working out all of this stuff. And I was telling Dr. Lovelace because he wasn't aware that we are now switched to 107.5. But so I said, yes, soon the WSKB stuff will be disappearing. We're sort of in a transition period right now.
Yep.
Still both, but soon just WSFD.
Yep.
So my guest this morning is Dr. Akinyele Lovelace. Dr. Lovelace is a primary care physician with Family Medicine Associates here in Westfield in the tastefully done tan and brown building. There you go, right?
It misses its charm.
20. Yeah, I know,
That
right?
it does.
Used to be a landmark.
It used to be I used to be able to do the Miami Vice one, and
Nope.
he would go in with get the car tubs,
Not
but
anymore.
nope, not anymore. All right, so before we get started, Dr. Lovelace, I'm going to make this announcement several times this morning, and I want you to know because you can give this information to your patients and your staff. So tomorrow at the Senior Center, we are hosting our annual Senior Options 2025 event. This is a health and wellness fair. It will take place from 10 in the morning till 1 in the afternoon at the Westfield Senior Center. I have this year the most number of vendors that I've had to date. So I will have 38 different vendors there. And we will have exhibits including community support services, consumer information, government, housing, leisure and recreation, skilled nursing facilities, transportation, and medical and disability services. So those are the broad categories. But I like to say that this is one-stop shopping. So, you name it, anything that has to do with older adults and services, care programs will be represented. So we do have the list over at the Senior Center if you are interested, but I can tell you we have 6 different city departments, and then representatives from everywhere. Bay State will have a nice representation on their stroke program. So we have Tammy Westcott will be coming and setting that up. But we've just got a lot going on. So we really encourage people to come, talk to the vendors. Lunch is available. You can purchase a grab and go lunch for $5. You can get your ticket when you come in, and then go visit all the vendors, and then on your way out you can go pick up your meal and it'll be ready for you.
Well, what other kind of vendors are we talking about? Are we talking about like home services?
Want me to read you the list?
Yeah.
We have the Alzheimer's Association, Armbrook Village, CapTel, which are that's federally funded specialized
Oh, wait a minute.
phones.
Armbrook Village, that is what is that
Assisted
again?
living.
Assisted living.
That's
Yep,
right.
assisted living.
Up
And
on
the
the north side by
Arbors.
me.
Yes, we have the Arbors, which is down here,
Yeah.
assisted living, and we have Armbrook Village. Both will be there. Bay State Noble Hospital, the stroke program, our diabetes dialogue and support education, Highland Valley Elder Services, which is big. Mass Commission for the Blind, Massachusetts Equipment Distribution Program. They also do specialized phones at the state level. The Mayor's Office of Consumer Information, which is out of Springfield, that's Milagros Johnson, does an amazing, fabulous. It's worth it just to come and talk to her. They are such an advocate for seniors and consumer. Mercy Adult Day Health Center, the PVTA, Registry of Family Probate, which you have to go through when someone passes away. I learned a lot from them last year. Reedy Home Medical Alarms will be there. We'll have our state rep, our state senator, both of the skilled nursing facilities. Pete will be there. Commission for Citizens with Disabilities out of Westfield will be there. Behavioral Health Network will be there. The Family Resource Center, which is out of Gandara Center here in Westfield. Westfield Gas and Electric, Westfield Health Department, Westfield Pride, the YMCA, and then we've got the city of Westfield, the clerk's office. So for anybody who wants to know anything about elections or records, because they do a lot with seniors on records, veterans benefits, our senior benefits. So we're getting ready for Medicare open enrollment.
That's a big deal.
That is a very big deal. So so in order to set up a consultation with our staff, you need to fill out a pre-enrollment form. Those forms will be available beginning tomorrow.
Yeah, and it's
So that
really,
was a huge
and
draw.
I have to emphasize that tremendously, because now is a time where a lot of different contracts are coming out for providers as well. And
Yes.
it's really important to verify. This is the time where you're going to have to verify with even your primary care practice as to whether or not
Absolutely.
they still are going to accept the current Medicare Advantage plan that you're participating in. So this is a big time.
It is a big time. And I'm glad that you brought that up, Dr. Lovelace, because a lot of people, have the idea of, well, I'm happy with what I have. It's all good. And then January 2nd comes and they go to their, wherever, primary care, their pharmacy, and they find out, well, that's not covered under your plan. You are supposed to be getting your notice of any of the changes by September 30th.
That is correct.
And please, I've had people that say, I said, did you get your, your annual notice of change? Oh, I think so. I put that in the recycle bin. Yeah, not a good place for it.
Extremely important, because
Yeah.
then you turn around February 1st or February 3rd and you think that you have an appointment and you find out that provider is no longer accepting that service.
exactly.
And that can be a huge setback.
Yeah,
So
it
it's
sure
really important, because
Yep.
even on the doctor side or the provider side, this is the time where there are contract negotiations going on as to whether or not you're going to actually accept certain providing services. So this is
Yeah.
big time.
It is.
But on
It's
the
very
flip
big.
side of that, I get a lot of junk mail from my healthcare company.
Yeah.
And so you'd like them
it's
to
hard.
at least mark it saying important news enclosed,
Yeah,
other
yeah.
than, hey, we offer this new service, and I get at least a dozen or so of those emails
Yeah.
or
Yeah,
more.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know.
But this is the time, and we have it, we put in our newsletter every September, and they get the newsletter back in August. It's kind of like keep an eye, be on the lookout for this. This is coming. It's coming in the mail. Some people are wonderful about it. I mean, they get that thing and they're, right there. So Lynn Hills, who's our senior benefits coordinator, will have a separate table as soon as you come in. So she's got her pre-enrollment forms to be filled out. We also have a new Shine counselor, which is serving the health information needs of the elderly, who will be working with Lynn. So that's wonderful because we can just provide more services and more consultations to people using Susan Sincata is her name. So Susan will be there as well. So what really frustrates me is when I get a phone call like the day after we've held this event saying, do you have any information on, X, Y, and Z? And I'm like, yeah, I had 38 people here yesterday, could have answered every question you ever had. So please, please, please take some time out of your day. And you know what? It's a lot of fun too. It's high energy. People are, getting information, and the vendors are getting information from each other. They love it.
And in all fairness, this could really be more than a one-day event, to be honest with you. This could be a Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday thing, in all fairness, just with the amount of vendors that you have and the importance of all the information that's available. I tend to think that, from BHN to our local state representatives to our state senators, I mean, there's a lot of things going on right now, even with what's going on with the big, beautiful bill, and that's how it's going to affect a lot of people, both in the Medicare and Medicaid space. It's really important to start having those key conversations because things are coming up. So I'm so happy that you're doing this.
Yeah,
I'd almost encourage that we have more days of it. Can't get enough.
Yeah, well, as the organizer who's about to, be institutionalized, exactly. But on the good news, Pete, you'll know this. We have been minus a program director for almost a year now. And that part of that is because that job was redone. So it'll be program director and it's actually turned into assistant director. And we did hire someone. We actually hired someone from within. So we're very excited about that. So I'm hoping that person will be able to get started within the next month or so, take a little of the pressure off here because I've been doing some double duty. So we're okay. All right. I'll tell you what, let's take a short break. The topic of the day is depression among older adults, and it's an important topic. It's actually something that we started talking about last week when we were talking, September is Suicide Prevention Awareness Month. And a lot of people don't realize this is a major problem, especially among older adults, considering the percentages of, the rates that we're seeing suicide among older adults. So we really want to get in on that preventive end of it. And of course, it starts with depression and clinical depression. So we're going to talk a little bit about that when we come back. So let's take a break. Now that we've talked about the Senior Options event. Remember, it's tomorrow, 10 to 1. Be there or be square. My guest this morning is Dr. Akinyele Lovelace, if you're just joining us. So you are listening to WSFD 107.5 on your dial and WCPC cable channel 15. We're going to listen to Johnny Cash singing Hurt. We'll be back.
I hurt myself today to see if I still feel. I focus on the pain, the only thing that's real. The needle tears a hole, the old familiar sting. Try to kill it all away, but I remember everything. What have I become? My sweetest friend. Everyone I know goes away in the end. And you could have it all, my empire of dirt. I will let you down, I will make you hurt. I wear this crown of thorns upon my liar's chair, full of broken thoughts I cannot repair. Beneath the stains of time, the feelings disappear. You are someone else. I am still right here. What have I become? My sweetest friend. Everyone I know goes away in the end. And you could have it all. My empire of dirt, I will let you down. I will make you hurt. If I could start again, a million miles away, I would keep myself. I would find a way.
Underwriting for Community Radio on WSKB is brought to you in part by Rockies. Over 30 convenient locations throughout Massachusetts, Rhode Island, New Hampshire, Connecticut, and Florida. One of the nation's largest ACE dealers. Expertise and great product selection in paint, hardware, lawn and garden. That's Rockies. Rock solid service since 1926. On the web at rockies.com.
Hi, this is Harry Rock, host of Rock on Westfield every fourth Wednesday at 8 a.m. Tune in for my view of this place I call home.
Community Radio.
89.5 WSKB.
You're listening to 107.5 WSFD-LP, Westfield Community Radio in Westfield, Mass.
Good morning, Westfield. It is 6:36. You are listening to WSFD 107.5 on your dial and watching WCPC Cable Channel 15. My name is Tina Gorman. I am your Wake Up Wednesday host, and usually on a monthly basis, we have Dr. Akinyele Lovelace, primary care physician, with us from Family Medicine Associates here in Westfield. So welcome, Dr. Lovelace. And you know, your name got brought up last week, so let me sort of set the stage here. September is Suicide Prevention Awareness Month, and we were talking about, we were kind of talking about that last week. And I shared a story with our viewers and our listeners about a gentleman who used to come to the senior center every morning, lived by himself, right here in sort of the downtown area in Westfield. And he used to come at the old senior center. We opened it up at 8:30, and most people didn't come until 9. But he was usually there as soon as we unlocked the door. And he would come and he would get the morning paper, and he would just chat for 5 or 10 minutes with my food services person who was kind of setting things up for the day, and me. And that was kind of a routine. And one day, he tended to be a more isolated. He was in his 90s, his mid-90s, lived by himself in this giant, 3-story house here in downtown. One morning he was really down, and he sometimes was kind of, down in the dumps, but we talked it through, but this particular time, not so much. And he was making me very scared. And I asked him point blank, I said, because it sounded like he was ready to, cash it in, take his life. And I said, have you really been thinking about this? And he said, I really have. He had a plan. So I said to him, you know what? We need to figure this out. We need to get you some help. So he went home, and I said, I'm going to call you in a little bit later. So I called him. I called the crisis hotline and explained the situation. And one of the things that they said was, ask him, call him back. And they said, do you think he's going to do something before you call? I said, I don't think so. And he didn't. And they said, call him and see if he is willing to go see his primary care physician. So I said, okay. So I did. I called him, and he had the same primary care for a long time. And I said, would you be willing to? And he said, okay, yeah, I'll make an appointment. And I said, and then I want you to call me back. And I want you to tell me that you made the appointment and when is the appointment. And if you need me to come and pick you up and take you there, I will. Anyway, long story short, he made the appointment. He saw the doctor, who was fabulous, who was absolutely fabulous. And his primary care, immediately said, we need to, figure this out. We need to get you help, put him on some medication, referred him to a therapist or a counselor. And, the long and the short of it is he was okay. It was scary for me because this happened quite a while ago. We were still at the old senior center. It was the first time that I had worked with an older adult who didn't just kind of say it in passing, but had a plan. So your name came up because we talked about the fact that it's really important for primary carers to be involved in this. So I'm going to throw it over to you now. From your perspective, what are you seeing?
When I think about depression, we often think about sadness, crying, or feeling down. But kind of to what you elaborated on, in older adults, depression doesn't always look the same way.
Yeah.
Sometimes it can show up as fatigue or poor sleep, loss of appetite, memory problems, or even irritability. It can be mistaken for, just getting old.
Yeah.
Or worse, written off as dementia.
Yep.
But it's important to remember that depression is not a normal part of aging, right?
Yes.
So when we are in the primary care space, it's one thing that we are consistently every year checking in on, right? Where I know sometimes the patients don't want to fill out the questionnaire or what have you, but it's extremely important for us to really assess every 6 months, sometimes, every year, just to kind of check in, because about 1 in 10 older adults living in our community struggle with depression.
Yeah.
And the rates are even higher for those living in nursing homes or dealing with a chronic illness like heart disease, diabetes, or chronic pain. The risk factors are real. You mentioned how this young man, I'm going to say young because that's what I do, he lived in a 3-story building by himself.
Yep.
Loss of a loved one, loneliness, social isolation, or health issues that make someone less mobile or independent can contribute to this. And so a lot of times, and I feel like we saw it a lot during COVID, where we had a lot of adults where no one checked in on them.
Correct.
And you start to get into your own head, right?
Yes. Yes.
And that becomes a concern that I have. I'll give an example where I have a young man right now who's a little bit far along in age, and he was given a certain diagnosis. And because he's by himself, he pretty much didn't do anything.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And he knows, like I know, that if he had a daughter, a wife, or a partner in general, they would at least check in and say, hey, let's do something here. Like, no matter what you do, let's do something. And I think that a lot of times when we have isolation and we're by ourselves, it becomes an issue. And also we have to remember that even certain medications can also contribute as we start to just see what's going on when we have older adults. And that while women tend to be diagnosed more often than men, especially those over 75, older men actually face the highest risk of suicide. So to your point about this gentleman saying that he actually had a plan, that is a real thing, right? And so a lot of times we have a lot of men who are at risk, and we don't check in on them because they sometimes don't necessarily have a relationship with either a friend or a family member or their primary care provider. So there's a lot that goes on in my mind as a primary care provider when it comes to dealing with depression in the elderly.
Yeah. I want to follow up on some of what you touched on. I now run 2 support groups at the senior center. Yep. The second one is really the same as the first one. The numbers got so high on the first one that I had to add one. And interestingly, I've been running this support group. I have my side-by-side support group, which is the one I've been running for 20 years now. And we just started, keeping on the musical theme, a Stand By Me group. But it was interesting because I would say for the first 7 or 8 years that I ran that group, I did not have any men ever in the group. And now it's probably a third men and 2/3 women. And that's just because women live longer. And even with the Stand By Me group, it just started last month. I had 3 people, which was fine to start, 2 women, one gentleman. What I've picked up on those support groups, the men that come generally are coming because they've lost a spouse. Their wife passed away and they're coming. And although it's not specifically a grief support group, of course we deal with that. It's a very eclectic group. We've got caregivers and people with their own health issues and, people who are going through that grief journey. But I found with the men, they struggle longer with grief. And again, these are Aunt Jane's stories. I don't have any data to back it up other than 20 years of doing this. But they really, really struggle, and they really feel isolated. Even if they have children, they just feel lonely. They talk a lot about loneliness and their, sort of that isolation. It's just not the same. I hear that a lot. It's not the same. Your kids, my kids come and visit. Sometimes the kids are, they're in touch with them almost on a daily basis, but it's not the same. It's not the same.
Yeah, I can identify a lot of times when, especially in my space, where I have older men, traditionally, the majority of the time, their spouse is with them, right? Their spouse is coming in.
Yeah.
Their spouse is sometimes wanting to tell me everything or want to lead the conversation a certain way. Rarely does it happen the opposite way.
Right.
It's very rare, right? And I think a lot of it has to do with how we've encouraged women in general to have to see their primary care provider or someone a little bit more routinely for obvious reasons. Mm-hmm. I think it happens later on in men. And then for men, as they continue to get older, what I've seen is they then tend to just rely on that partner to really guide them. And so I see it a lot of times where I'll ask this gentleman who's a little bit longer in age, and I'll say, hey, what medications are you taking? And he will instantly look at his partner.
He'll defer
every time. Or
what do I take?
What did you eat for breakfast this morning? And he'll defer. Or what time do you go to bed? He'll defer. And I worry about that. And so sometimes I do tend to really encourage ownership of some of these things because it's extremely important, especially for men. So I can definitely understand how once that partner has since passed or moved on, they're lost.
Oh yeah.
And they have a real hard time of trying to figure it out because they tended to invest all of their energy and emotion in their partner. And sometimes the relationship with the children are not the same. And sometimes pride gets in the way because pride prevents you from wanting to admit that maybe your memory isn't as good as it once was, or maybe you're not as strong as you once were. And so the pride is also a factor here. And so instead of admitting a lot of those things, they defer and they become more isolated. And that's where this kind of loneliness is coming from that I see in the community.
Yeah, I think it's interesting too because we're talking about an older population. So in a lot of cases, we're talking about a history of very traditional roles. She did the cooking, he did the grass cutting, she did this, he did that. And I think what happens too is I could absolutely picture this because I have the same thing happen when, I've got a couple come in, we need to borrow medical equipment. It's for him. He's having surgery and she's answering all the questions when I'm saying well, what's your height and weight? And do I need to be concerned about how wide the doorways are in your home if we're using a walker or a wheelchair or whatever? And she's answering all the questions. And I think for women, when they lose their spouse, what I hear more for them, it's the physical things of, I don't have anybody to, I had one woman who said to me, seriously, she goes, this is horrible. She said, I really didn't even know how to change a light bulb. She said, my husband took care of everything around the house and business wise with money, he had the checking account, he did this, he did that. Everything else she did, she's actually way more self-sufficient, and she's learning that as she goes through this process. But, you can see where it would I had one woman who said to me years ago, she's been in the group for over 10 years, and she started coming shortly after her husband passed away. And she said, it's not that my husband and I had these deep, long talks or anything like that. She said, a lot of times he had a hobby, so he'd be down in the basement, doing his thing, and she'd be in the kitchen cooking. She liked to do that and baking for the family. She said, but it was just a presence in the house. It was just a presence in the house of just knowing I could hear him downstairs and he could hear me upstairs. And she said it was just that comfort feeling. And I think without that, there's a lot, not just depression, but there's a lot of anxiety.
Sure.
There's just a lot of anxiety. So let me ask you, Dr. Lovelace, from a primary care physician point of view, if you meet with someone and you determine that there's depression going on, take us down the next step. What do you do with that?
So great question. So I think, what do I do with that? First of all, I tend to really assess what's going on with all their medical conditions first and foremost, right? Like, what's going on with our medications? What are we taking currently? What else is happening in that perspective, right? And so I start to kind of go down the list of medicines just to make sure, is there anything that you've been started on new that I don't know about? Are you taking anything new that I haven't seen? And is there anything else going on? Is there an infection somewhere, right? Do you have a urinary tract infection? Do you have pneumonia? Do you have the flu, right? So I start to kind of go down those things first to make sure that medically everything is pretty much stable. From there, we then start having conversations about, well, what's going on at home and what's happening? Are you safe? Are you okay? How is your memory, right? We do start to kind of go down the conversation of memory, because to your point about the young lady who just likes to know that he was in the house, right? Or just, those are those cues that we tend to rely on that tell us that we are safe, right?
Yes.
And being able to reassure yourself that you're safe within your own body and even within your own home is key. And so making sure that those things are kind of looked at, right? And so I start there. And then from that perspective, we then start having conversations about, well, who are you talking to? Who is around you? Do you have a family member that checks in on you? Do you have friends that you interact with? Do you have are there other generations of people living in your house? Are you participating with your grandchildren if you have grandchildren? Are your great-great-grandchildren? Are you working with them? Are you seeing them? Are you still driving? Are you still getting around? Are you exercising? Are you still moving your body? And what is your nutrition looking like? Are you eating? Whom are you eating with? And what are you eating currently, right? So I start to kind of go down those list of things, because the one thing I do know is that making sure that we are not isolated is one of the biggest things that I like to check in on. And then I say, all right, okay. If there's no one else out there, then I'm going to be it, right? And we're going to start seeing each other more frequently, and we're just going to check in, because sometimes it's just about accountability. It's just about saying, hey, I know you're in a hard time right now, because sometimes there's loss, and for a lot of our seniors, there's a lot of loss going on where you could say, yeah, I don't feel good today, or this has not been a good year, right? I might have lost so-and-so, and another person goes. And, when you get to your 80s and 85, 90, it's pretty fair to say that a lot of people that you used to know aren't around anymore. And so that could be trying. And so I first start to encourage making sure that we've got interaction going on here and that we're checking in. Okay. Once we've established that and we've got it pretty consistently there, I then say, okay, if we can identify someone that we're talking to, great. How do you feel? How do you feel about starting medications right now? Because based on what I'm seeing, or based on kind of what we've been collecting on this conversation, I'm feeling like you may benefit from being on a certain type of medication. How do you feel about that? Well, and I give that opportunity, I give that option, and I say, you don't have to start anything right now, but I'm going to check back in on you, and we're going to have this conversation again, because I want to make sure that you're okay, right? And so that's where this conversation goes, and that's where we start.
Okay. Yeah, and I think that's great. And I have to say, I would encourage also people to, well, first of all, I work at a senior center. Senior centers are awesome places for this. And I talked about the fact that I run a couple of support groups, but I've said this time and time again. Every group that meets at the senior center, whether it's the pool players, the sassy stitchers who are knitting and crocheting, the art class, the exercise, various exercise classes, becomes its own sustaining support group, because they just start to bond. There are people that are seeing each other, whether it's weekly or monthly, and I can't tell you how many times I've had individual pool players. I got 30 guys up there playing pool twice a week in the afternoon, and sneaking down to me and saying, Tina, can you check on so-and-so, because I'm I'm worried about him, or we haven't seen him in 2 weeks. I mean, I've gone out with my senior safety officer. We've done well-being checks just based on the pool players who are saying, and some of those guys are, confirmed bachelor, so nobody's checking in on them, right. And so they're saying, we've done those kinds of things, but joining any kind of a group, a book club, anything like that where you're, we now have a diabetes support and education group that we've been running for about 1.5 years. That's so funny because it kind of speaks to your point. We always have said it doesn't just have to be the person who's either diabetic or pre-diabetic. Bring your family. Who's doing the cooking? Who's doing the food preparation? Inevitably, there are almost no men who come by themselves. They come with their partners, their spouses, the women will come by themselves, but the men will not, because it's like, well, she's got to be understanding all this stuff. She's got to understand the medications and my diet and all that other stuff. So I think because we know isolation, that is just a huge factor for longevity, quality of life. I mean, it's in every longitudinal study. If you go back to the Harvard study of healthy aging, that was like their number one factor. You could have all kinds of problems and illnesses, but it's that social isolation that is really putting people at risk. So, my thing is, and it could be a church group if you're, yes. Involved in that. It could be, I had one woman who had a really extended family here, and she learned how to use a smartphone just enough to be able to text her grandchildren and great-grandchildren, because they would text her. Like every day, somebody would be texting her and she'd get that text and, wow, what a booster. And sometimes they would actually then call if they had something really exciting to say. But I think there are opportunities for that. So I think that people should, as much as they can, take advantage of those opportunities.
Agreed.
That's my pitch. It's important. All right. It is, it's 6:56. So we blew through that other break, which is okay. So let's talk a little bit about reach out if you need help, because we just kind of talked about that. So first of all, if you are thinking of harming yourself, please tell someone who can help you immediately. We just talked about not isolating yourself. Call a trusted family member or a friend. It doesn't have to be a family member. Some people have a very close friend or a neighbor, and that's fine. I mean, I consider family to be whoever you consider your family to
exactly.
be. I've had plenty of seniors who've come in and said, I haven't had contact with my son in 30 years. For whatever reason, we're not going down that. That's a whole separate thing. So who's in your life? Well, my best friend or my best friend's daughter. I have one guy who's in my support group who said his daughter's closest friend, he said, I consider her like my second daughter. And fine. Okay, great. If you feel, like you're really in danger, see your primary care, get that appointment, call 911. But, the other thing I also want to touch on, which you kind of alluded to, is medications. Mm. I've had several experiences with seniors who have had some kind of a major heart event. Mm-hmm. Their medications get all changed. Mm-hmm. They come home from the hospital. This happened to my father-in-law. And now we're seeing just this depression. We're just seeing, and when we say depression, I think, you said this too, Dr. Lovelace, it doesn't necessarily just have to be that you feel sad. I find I call it the whatever syndrome. It's it's almost just more like, whatever, it's more like, I just don't even care. Uh-huh. I'm not, you know what I mean? I can't be bothered. That worries me more than someone who's angry. If you're angry about something, that's it. You've got a cause and a mission. But when you don't care, it's like, do you want to do this? Okay, I don't care. But,
and that becomes right, and then that becomes neglect in a different kind of way, self-neglect, which becomes even more concerning, because then you start to worry about, well, what medicines are you now currently taking, right? And who's going to make sure that you're taking these medications? Yeah. And so that is, for me, I agree with you. That is a really, really big concern. And that's why it's so important when my patients are discharged from the hospital that we really try to get them in within a week or 14 days to really reconcile these medications, because after you've sustained a significant hospital stay, a lot of things could happen, right? Your medications change. Maybe you even had to go to a nursing facility for a little bit. And then after that, you're at home. And then maybe you can't leave your home because you've got to get additional nursing help at home. And medications have been made. Maybe you have a new diagnosis with whatever, your heart or your lungs. And so it's extremely important for us to just kind of check in and say, hey, how did that go? That was a life-changing event for you. And we need to acknowledge that fact. And we then need to acknowledge the fact that we just need to kind of check back in a little bit more just to kind of see how you're doing emotionally about all of this and to see if you want to continue to do this, right? Like we need to openly ask that question because I do think it's important to tap into those feelings, right? What a lot of older adults sustain after a hospital event is it's not normal, right? Like it's not a normal thing.
Right.
And for us to assume that was just a normal occurrence because I'm getting older is not okay. And we do need to acknowledge it and then start talking about it a little bit more and then figure out how we're going to work through this because there's hope at the other side of this.
Yeah, I agree. And I think the one thing that I want to touch on before we finish this discussion is there are certainly younger people, but older people too, who self-medicate with, alcohol, maybe some drugs, but I see it a lot especially with alcohol. It's like, well, I'm feeling really down, so I'll just have, whatever. And so now that it's not only the isolation factor, but now we've added alcohol to this on top of medications that you're taking. And I think one of the things that can be really challenging is you have to be honest with your physician. If you're and they'll ask you on those forms, because I filled them out myself when I go to my primary care, like, do you drink alcohol? Yes. Well, how often are you drinking? And if and how much are you drinking on what kind of a regular basis? Is it, one drink once a week or is it 6 drinks every day?
Agreed. And we have to have an open conversation as to, and I'll never say it's bad. I won't say that because I will say, well, having these many do put you at risk for blank, right?
Sure.
That is usually my approach with this because, hey, listen, if you caught me watching a football game, there might be a beverage right next to me. I'm not going to act like I'm not that person. But what I'll also say is for those who have had a history of very life-changing events, to your point with self-medicating, some of them also tend to hold on to some of those medications that they might have received in the past.
Yep.
And then they tend to hold on to them and then want to take them in the event that something else might happen where they think they may need them.
Yes.
And that also becomes a problem because that's another way of self-medication. And a lot of times the provider is not necessarily aware that they are storing these medications for that other long event. And then what could happen? What could happen is there could be some other medication interactions that they're not aware of because they weren't thinking about it. And then they decide to kind of take an extra whatever it may be.
Yep.
And then other things tend to occur. So to your point about alcohol, I agree 100%.
Yeah.
But to your point about self-medicating, the other issue with a lot of our older adults is that they like to store more medicines than we like to admit. And a lot of those have already expired, by the way.
Yes.
And that becomes a bigger concern down the road for someone who has to try to reconcile everything and see what's going on. And then sometimes what you find out is that a family member or a friend goes into the house and they find an entire inventory of medications that they've been picking from for quite some time. And that becomes a problem.
And the other thing that we've seen, Dr. Lovelace, is, we have a spouse that passed away, but the spouse was taking this medication. So now, even though my name's not on it and it wasn't prescribed for me, it's the same idea. Well, I'll save this for a rainy day. So 2 things. I want to go back to our senior options event tomorrow.
Please.
One is we will have Tapestry Health there.
Excellent.
So they'll be talking about some of these issues that we just brought up. Also, the Board of Health will be there, and I specifically asked them for a handout on getting rid of expired medications. We do that with the police department, annually. We'll do, usually in the spring, we'll have a drug take back, highly successful. And they give you like hundreds and hundreds of pounds of medications. But there are other ways to do that. So both of those will be represented. So I'm going to go back to my senior options event, which is tomorrow.
Please.
I'm going to give this to you to share with.
I'd love to have it. Thank you.
Yep. And the list of who will be there is on the second page. We just kind of did that so people would have an idea of who's going to be there. So Dr. Akinyele Lovelace, again, primary care physician with Family Medicine Associates. We thank you so much for joining us this morning.
It's my pleasure to be here.
And please, folks, again, please be honest with your medical provider, your medical team on what's going on. There's no shame in saying, hey, I'm going through a tough time. Please don't hesitate to reach out to us at the Senior Center. There are lots of ways to prevent isolation. We do run support groups. The new Stand By Me support group, we meet on the last Wednesday of the month from 9 to 10:30. It is non-judgment. You say whatever you want to say. We are behind closed doors, and everything is confidential. Whatever we talk about, and we all sign a form saying that whatever we talk about in this group stays within the group. So please don't hesitate to do that. And again, hope to see you tomorrow at the Senior Options 2025 event. Lots of vendors there, lots of information.
Don't forget shots.
And don't forget shots, your flu shots. And we are doing registrations. We'll be doing that tomorrow as well. So if you have as long as you have your health insurance cards, we'll make a photocopy of those. We'll start that process and we'll get you scheduled. We're doing both. We're offering both flu and COVID. That was one of the reasons that I wanted to partner with a pharmacy.
Please.
Because the health department wasn't doing COVID, just flu. So we last year it was very successful. I got mine, and I had a great winter. So you are listening to WSFD 107.5 on your dial and watching WCPC Cable Channel 15. We'll be back in just a few.
Underwriting for the community programming of WSKB is provided by the Boys and Girls Club of Greater Westfield, serving the youth of the Whip City and surrounding communities since 1969. For more information on the Great Futures Club for ages 3 to 5, happening weekdays, and the Club Teen Center for ages 11 and older, weekdays from 6:30 till 8 p.m., go online at bcgwestfield.org or visit the club at 28 West Silver Street. The Boys and Girls Club of Greater Westfield. Great futures start here.
Join me, Tina Gorman, each week from 6 to 8 a.m. for Wake Up Wednesday, when my guests and I discuss health, wellness, and lifestyle reimagined.
Community Radio.
89.5 WSKB.
Live from Studio 120 at Westfield Technical Academy, this is WCPC Channel 15 at 89.5 FM, WSKB Westfield.
Good morning, Westfield. It is 7:08. You are listening to WSFD 107.5 on your dial and watching WCPC Cable Channel 15. My name is Tina Gorman. I am your Wake Up Wednesday host. I'm in the studio this morning with the chairman of the board and chief engineer, Peter Coles. Good morning, Pete.
Good morning. I just told my primary care that I'm having an appointment with him on Halloween.
Oh, there you go.
He started laughing. He goes, oh, wonderful.
Yeah, there you go. Exactly. All right, September is National Literacy Month, so it's a time to reflect on the importance and the impact of literacy in our day-to-day lives. In the United States, approximately 48 million adults cannot read above a third grade level. Globally, an estimated 763 million adults do not have basic literacy skills. All parents want their young son or daughter to grow into a good reader because reading is so important for doing well in school and in life. But learning to read doesn't happen automatically, and it doesn't start in elementary school. The words and conversation that children hear throughout their early years, starting from birth, are what fuel their later reading success. More than quantity, it's the quality of words and language that makes the biggest difference. Reading together and having back and forth conversations with your baby, toddler, or preschooler is the key. Offer your child plenty of opportunities to talk and be listened to read and be read to, and to sing and be sung to. That kind of language-rich interaction also stimulates children's imagination and expands their understanding of the world. Research shows that low literacy rates can create significant barriers in a person's life. It can make it difficult for an individual to complete day-to-day tasks and participate in the community around them. It can also create significant challenges in accessing employment opportunities and also health care. Literacy is about more than basic skills. It revolves around experiences relevant to the individual's day-to-day life. By having literacy skills, people can set and achieve important goals in their lives and build the lives that they want. And I am just a firm believer in the importance of literacy, and especially in the importance of reading and reading to your children. I and your grandchildren. I mean, grandparents. I think that is so important. Just starting in infancy, and I have to say we have created a nice little tradition in our house. So my granddaughter Charlie is now 2 years old. She and my daughter Grace live with us, and each night, Grace does the tubby thing, and then it's story time. And Charlie is all about, we got to go find Mimsy because it's story time. And the three of us, lay on my bed, and we just, we let Charlie pick out, and we'll read, 5, 6, 7 books. We'll spend about a good half hour reading. And she's got her favorites, and, she decides who's reading it, whether it's going to be Mama or whether it's going to be Mimsy. And we kind of go back and forth a little bit. And I just think that's so important. She picks out the pictures, and there's so much learning that happens. And I think, for parents who feel like they don't need to do any of that because they'll learn that in school when the child turns 5. Whoa, that's 5 years that you've really lost. And I think it creates a passion. We like to create a passion for stories. And I was the child. I've always loved to read. And I was the kid, in the 6th and 7th grade with my flashlight under the blanket because my parents told me to go to bed. So I said goodnight, and I went to bed. And
I did that for a long time. That and listen to the radio late into the night.
Yeah. Well, Pete, you must be a reader because you are such a trivia guy. And, I just find that people who and you've got like an incredibly, this breadth of knowledge. So, you seem to be
useless
interested.
Knowledge.
No, not really. We joke about that.
But, I read like small bits and pieces. Where I used to read like novels.
Sure.
Now I'm reading like small bits and pieces, like something will catch my eye and I'll read the article type thing. And
whatever, kind of whatever.
It's all about curiosity.
It is.
If you can spark curiosity, life is a lot better. Living life is a lot better if you can spark curiosity in somebody.
Yeah, I agree with you, Pete. That's really a great point. I think it is the curiosity factor. So please, grandparents, and there are a lot of programs out there. Grace joined this as a new mom. She was getting all kinds of promotional things in the mail. And I want to say it's like the Dolly Parton literacy project or something. And Grace signed up for it. It's free, and Charlie gets a book a month. It's a paperback, but it's not really paper. It's thin. It's a different topic every month, but those books you can't like tear the pages or anything. So they're great for even toddlers. And she's had them about birds and about foods and just different farm things and farm equipment and farm animals, and they're great. They're great stories. So all kinds of things like that. But focus on that, folks. It's really important and fun. It's just a good time. It's good family time. I think let's take a break before I go through. It's National Family Meals Month, but that one is a little bit more involved. And then September is also Self-Care Awareness Month, so we're going to talk more about that this hour. So let's take a break.
I might not have this song.
Let me see which one. Oh, really?
Yeah, this looks like all songs that are like out of.
Okay. All right.
Stuff that I have
well,
to
you know
find.
what? I'll tell you what. If you want to go back and pick up the song that we didn't get, that we blew through, we can do that. All right. We're gonna listen to Simon and Garfunkel singing "I Am a Rock." That kind of goes back to Dr. Akinyele's topic of depression and so forth. You are listening to WSFD 107.5 and WCPC Cable Channel 15. We'll be back in just a few.
Winter's day in a deep and dark December, I am alone, gazing from my window to the streets below on a freshly fallen silent shroud of snow. I am a rock, I am an built walls, a fortress deep and mighty, that none may penetrate. I have no need of friendship. Friendship causes pain. It's laughter and it's loving I disdain. I am a rock. Talk of love. Well, I've heard the word before. It's sleeping in my memory. I won't disturb the slumber of feelings that have died. If I never loved, I never would have cried. I am a rock. I am an protect me. I am shielded in my armor, hiding in my room, safe within my womb. I touch no one and no one touches me. I am a rock. I am an island, and a rock feels no pain, and an island never cries.
Underwriting for Community Radio on WSKB is brought to you in part by Rockies. Over 30 convenient locations throughout Massachusetts, Rhode Island, New Hampshire, Connecticut, and Florida. One of the nation's largest ACE dealers. Expertise and great product selection in paint, hardware, lawn and garden. That's Rockies. Rock solid service since 1926. On the web at rockies.com.
Join me, Tina Gorman, each week from 6 to 8 a.m. for Wake Up Wednesday, when my guests and I discuss health, wellness, and lifestyle reimagined.
Community Radio.
89.5 WSKB. Live from Studio 120 at Westfield Technical Academy, this is WCPC Channel 15 at 89.5 FM, WSKB Westfield.
Good morning, Westfield. It is 7:18. You are listening to WSFD 107.5 on your dial and WCPC Cable Channel 15. My name is Tina Gorman. I am your Wake Up Wednesday host, and I'm in the studio this morning with the chairman of the board and our chief engineer, Pete Coles. Good morning again, Pete.
Having a wonderful morning.
I know, having a wonderful
morning. I'm trying to figure this out. It's perplexing me.
Yeah, we have these audio hiccups that are happening here. I'm sure you're hearing them.
It's a latency issue.
Yeah, we're trying to figure it out. I don't know what that means.
I mean, I know what the issue is. Yeah. I just don't know how to correct it.
Yeah, okay. So there you go. So we have half the battle. We know what the problem. Pete knows what the problem is. I don't. But Pete knows what the problem is. Just trying to.
I'm running scenarios in my brain to see if that might work or that might work. Or
okay. It's just like, all right. Okay, so let's do a few announcements. Obviously, we've been talking a lot about tomorrow's Senior Options 2025 event. Again, the time for that is 10 in the morning through 1 in the afternoon. And, I will say this. Usually we get this flood of people when we open up the doors at 10 o'clock. But, you walk in at noontime and you'll just be able to walk right in and talk to people. And so, it's a 3-hour window, folks. So don't feel like there's nothing magic about getting there first. We'll have plenty of everything and the vendors will be there. I do want to remind folks that we are doing flu and COVID vaccination clinics at the Senior Center. This is a year when it's becoming a bit more challenging for people to get those vaccinations. So we are partnering with the Stop and Shop Pharmacy as we did last year. And tomorrow we will have staff at the front desk. So what you do in order to start this process, step 1, which is where we are right now, you're going to bring your health insurance cards to the Senior Center. We're going to photocopy them, and you're going to complete literally a short form. It's like name, address, phone. I think we might have date of birth and which vaccines you want or something like that. And you just leave that with us. And then we're waiting for the Stop and Shop Pharmacy to give us the link for us to register you. As soon as we get that link, which hopefully will be any day because they thought we would have it by late last week, we will, Deb Murray, who is one of our trusted volunteers, she works at the front desk, and Deb is a retired physician assistant, so recently retired. So we're going to have Deb doing the registration for folks. So what she'll do is she will call you. She already has a lot of your basic information. She'll be on the computer. You'll be on the phone just talking it through, so you don't have to worry about having to do this online. And then she will give you the day, whether it's going to be the 1st or the 2nd of October, doing the flu clinics in the afternoon, and she'll give you the time to be there. So and you can certainly do that tomorrow. If you come to the Senior Options event, you can stop at the front desk and say, I want to register for the vaccination clinics as well. All right, this month, Westfield Council on Aging presents Harry Rock interviewed Milagros Johnson. I mentioned Milagros. She will be there tomorrow at the Senior Options event. She is the director of the Mayor's Office of Consumer Information, and that office works in cooperation with the Massachusetts Attorney General's office. She did a wonderful interview with Harry. They talked about artificial intelligence, generated scams, arrest warrant scams, crypto scams, which she explained that. Card, when your credit card is declined, what happens there. So she talks a lot about how to protect yourself. So she will be there, but she is also the one that Harry interviewed. So that is aired every Tuesday and Thursday at 2:45 on Channel 15. Or again, Pete has all of this bundled on YouTube. So for those of you who are tech savvy, if you just want to tune into YouTube, you can watch that. So it was chock full of information. They talked for about an hour. And, the nice thing is we run this program on Channel 15, Tuesdays and Thursdays for the whole month. So, you can watch half of it, and if you have something else to do or you have an appointment or you want to work outside or whatever or take a walk, and then, a couple days later, watch the second half. All right, the Stand By Me group, I also mentioned that. So that is a new support group that I started last month. It is open to any adult who is coping with life's challenges. So it could be your own health problems. It could be the loss of close family members or friends. It could be caregiver responsibilities. It could be all of the above. Or something completely different that's not on this list. We've seen a lot over the years that we've run a similar group, the side-by-side group. So participants in the group chat informally, and all discussions are strictly confidential. You can join us as a regular, or if you just want to drop in. Sometimes people are just kind of going through a hard time, and they come for 6 months, and then, things have kind of settled down, and they feel okay again, and they're ready to stop. And then I have other people in the side-by-side group that have been in the group for more than 10 years because they started when we were at the old senior center, and it's kind of their monthly check-in. So the Stand By Me group meets on the last Wednesday of the month from 9 to 10:30, and this month we will be meeting a week from today, September 24th, from 9 to 10:30. You do not have to register. You do not have to sign up for that. Just come on down and know that, whatever we discuss is confidential. All right, September is National Family Meals Month. Let's talk about this.
Yeah.
Regardless of whether you have children at home, schedules become full, and we tend to get back to a more structured lifestyle in September. That, September is kind of like, okay, it's back to school, summer vacations are over, so let's kind of get back in things. In fact, we need structure to deal with committee meetings, after-school events, and deadlines at work. One of the structures to put in place is dinner together. The act of preparing dinner, setting a place at the table, and enjoying dinner brings balance to the day. It makes sense that September is National Family Meals Month, created to encourage and educate Americans about the rewards of cooking at home and gathering at the family dinner table. I'm going to give you 9 reasons to make family meals at home. Number 1, people who home cook meals eat healthier and consume about 130 fewer calories daily compared to people who cook less or not at all. 2, benefits of sharing 3 or more family meal times per week include reducing the odds for being overweight, eating unhealthy foods, and disordered eating, and increasing the odds for eating healthier foods. Number 3, adults and children who eat at home more regularly are less likely to suffer from obesity. Number 4, children who grow up sharing family meals are more likely to exhibit pro-social behavior as adults, such as sharing, fairness, and respect. So that's a behavioral thing. And so, you don't necessarily think, well, family meals and behavioral things. Oh, yeah. Teens who eat dinner with their parents regularly develop better relationships with them, do better in school, and are less likely to use drugs, drink, or smoke. Studies have shown that from the earliest days of history, shared meals have been essential for family bonding and child development. Cooking and eating together can teach children about food sustainability, nutrition, and cost of living. Children and adults are reminded of good manners. That's kind of going by the wayside, and we need to bring that back. Please, thank you, and waiting until everyone is served are a few of the important courtesies that will be important the rest of their lives. And finally, practicing the art of conversation. Remember that? Conversation back in the good old days?
More than 140 characters?
Yeah, right. Exactly, Pete. Thank you. In a time of increasing dependence on technology for communication, put down devices and talk to each other. Learning to listen well is as important as learning to respectfully challenge others' ideas. Laugh together over funny events of the day. I mean, we used to do, it's kind of like what Pete and I do at the beginning of the show. How was your weekend? What did you do? I haven't seen you in a week. Family dinner time is the same thing. It's like, what did you do during the day, and how was school, and how was work? And, and sometimes things are really challenging, and sometimes it's a funny story. But it's important for that. And it's interesting because my granddaughter is 2. She is really quite nonverbal still. So we're working on that. We have her in an early intervention program for that. But she's perfectly capable of understanding. And I just chat away with her, and she nods her head, and I'll say, oh, did you do this? Did you do that? Oh, yes. And it's a way of inclusion. And, Pete, you and I have talked so much on this show about, just the fact that we're losing that in society, and young people are just losing how to communicate, and they're not comfortable with it. They're awkward with it, with face-to-face communication.
Well, even just in my relationship, right? So we communicated every night over video chat because we were in 2 different houses.
Right.
Well, now we have to figure out how to redo that in the same house.
Yeah.
Because it's different.
It
is a lot
It
different.
is a lot different. Yep. There's a lot of body language and, you know, yeah, it is. It's very different. It's a whole new thing. So I think that's important. And it's, you know, it kind of speaks to what Dr. Lovelace and I were discussing earlier about preventing depression and anxiety because, you know, because of isolation, as people become more isolated, especially as they get older, you know, that just, it creates all kinds of health problems, not just depression, but, you know, sometimes physical, you know, stomach issues or headaches or migraines or whatever. So, you know, that contact is really important. And, you know, there have been so many studies on just physical contact with older adults and how important it is to, you know, hold their hand or hug them or touch them. And I'm famous. I don't even know that I do it, but my staff has joked around with me about it. But I'll often talk to somebody, and in order to sort of feel connected, I'll put my arm on their, you know, I'll put my hand on their arm, you know, and it's just kind of a recognition that, you know, you got my attention 100% and I hear you, you know, I get it. So those family meals are super important. And I think the preparation can just be a lot of fun, especially if you have young children. So go for it. All right. And September is National Potato Month. So, boy, you know, there's a lot about potatoes that I learned. So boil them, mash them, stick them in a stew, grow them in Idaho, Washington, and Oregon too. September is National Potato Month, and that amazing spud is so ingrained in our national subconscious that we could scarcely imagine a world without them. Everything from cleansers, home remedies, agriculture, to making them crinkle cut and julienne style, the versatile potato is a staple of diets and lifestyles. Potatoes are actually indigenous to the Americas, which I did not know, with the oldest known domestication of potatoes occurring nearly 10,000 years ago in South America. In the mid-16th century, during the Spanish conquest of South America, the potato was introduced to the European continent. So we took it there. I think everybody thinks that potatoes were, you know, we learned about potatoes from Ireland and they brought them here. Opposite. At first, the potato was hard to grow and it was rejected as a staple food. But by the mid-18th century, advances in agricultural technology helped to make the potato a popular food, and it became a staple in Northern Europe, particularly in Ireland. Many historians argue that the potato was a driving factor in the Industrial Revolution, providing more calories at a lower price than wheat or corn. Without the potato, a significant portion of the United States economy would cease to exist. Potato agriculture is estimated to have generated over $100 billion, provides nearly 700,000 jobs, and is tied directly to the economic survival of many towns, cities, counties, and even states. That's not even counting the number of supply chain and logistics companies who transport potatoes, processing facilities, and the food companies taking those potatoes and turning them into food products. McDonald's alone sells more than 9 million pounds of French fries every day. 9 million pounds.
Doesn't surprise me.
I know, right? National Potato Month honors the potato's power to nourish with vitamins like C and potassium, plus fiber, all with few calories. Try potatoes in every meal. Mix potatoes into your breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Think hash browns with eggs, fries beside your salad, or a hearty baked version. This celebrates how true fans use potatoes across meal times. This one surprised me. Bake a sweet spud treat. So you can use potatoes for a surprising dessert, like a chocolate cake made with potato puree. The twist adds moisture and a secret veggie boost. I thought that was kind of cool. I think I'm going to try that. Load up a baked potato bar. You can do that. Set out spuds with a buffet of options like crispy bacon or melted cheese or chili or broccoli or any other veggies that you want to, kind of throw there. pulled pork. You could throw beans in there. So this turns one humble veggie into many tasty meals. So where would we be without the potato? We're celebrating potatoes this month. All right, folks, you are listening to WSFD 107.5 on your dial and WCPC cable channel 15. So I hope you were able to pull this one up, Pete, this next song.
Yes.
This song is a riot. The video is fabulous. So it's one that I have to show. I have to show Charlie. I think she'll love it. It's called Family. It's by Drew Holcomb and the Neighbors. And this is all about family. This is for me. It's about Family Meals Month. So enjoy.
Singing in the kitchen, family. Running through the yard, family. Going on vacation, family. On a credit card, family. All in this together, family. We're taking a chance, family. Like birds of a feather, family. Kick off our shoes and dance. Laughing in the rain, family. It ain't always pretty, family. Can drive you insane. Family. I got the keys to the kingdom, family. Take it out of our car, family. All four seasons, family. Well, bless your heart. Sons and daughters, family. Like a photograph, family. Baptized in the water, family. Put me on the map, family. All in this together, family. We're taking a chance, family. Like birds of a feather, family. Pick up our shoes and dance. Your shoes and
Support for community radio on WSKB provided by Westfield Electroplating. Employing over 140 skilled platers, painters, and technicians, Westfield Electroplating was founded in 1946 and was the first company in the country to achieve National Aerospace and Defense Contractor Program accreditation, proudly maintaining that status for over a decade. Westfield Electroplating provides over 50 quality finishes to meet your corrosion, cosmetic, or performance needs. On the web at www.westfieldplating.com or 413-568-3716. Westfield Electroplating, putting the finishing touches on technology.
Join us every Thursday morning
from 6 until at least 7:30.
Check out the Bobby G and Company Show
right here on WSKB 89.5
Community Radio.
89.5 WSKB.
You're listening to 107.5 WSFD-LP, Westfield Community Radio in Westfield, Mass.
And now you are wide awake after that. You are listening to WSFD 107.5 on your dial and WCPC cable channel 15. My name is Tina Gorman. I am your Wake Up Wednesday host, and I'm in the studio this morning with the chairman of the board and the chief engineer who's puzzled about this audio hiccup that we have going on, but he's working on it. He's working on it. Pete Coles.
Killing me.
I know. I know. All right. So listen, I have a couple of groups that have been meeting at the senior center, and they want me to do some promotions for them because they're trying to get new members. And so here we go. We have a group that started probably now about 2 years ago. It's called Write from the Heart, WRITE, Write from the Heart. It's a writing group. And Donna Herman is the facilitator. Donna's been active in all kinds of stuff throughout the community. She taught for a long time. She was an elementary school teacher, and she's also been very involved on the board of directors at Stanley Park for many years. Lovely person, wonderful person. So she started this group. The group meets on Mondays at the Senior Center from 1:30 to 3 o'clock. So I'm going to read what she wrote because I think instead of trying to put it in my own words, I'm going to put it in hers. She said, "Come join us, sit with us, and decide if this is a group for you. We are a mixture of those who like to put pen to paper or hit the keys on a laptop. Our group includes those who like to write about personal experiences, while others prefer to get creative. Most of the writing is done at home and then read aloud in the group. Our group includes just for fun writers, poets, and published authors. We are a group of good listeners as we share our stories weekly. Once in a while, we will get a prompt and write and share while we are all together. The best part of the hour and a half is the time spent listening, reading, laughing, and even shedding some tears now and then." Donna says about herself, "I am not a published author, but I'm working on it. I taught elementary school for 36 years, and I worked part-time as a writer, photographer for the Westfield Evening News back in the day. Come anytime, sit with us, and decide if this is the group for you." Donna Herman, facilitator. So again, the group meets on Mondays from 1 to 3:30. It's called Right from the Heart. I have to make a flyer for them so we can put that up. And of course, the other group that meets on Wednesday afternoons, however, they are not meeting today. None of the afternoon groups that meet downstairs are meeting today because we've already started. Alex and I have started moving furniture. You wouldn't even recognize the place.
Sure, yeah.
So the Sassy Stitchers, they're not meeting today. I said, I told them last week, I said, it's in the newsletter. I said, no meeting today because they have no furniture in the Creativity Center because Alex and I already took all the tables out of there. So, but normally on Wednesdays, the chess group meets in the afternoon from 1 to 3 o'clock. Novice and experienced players are welcome. It's an enjoyable way to exercise your brain. And we were one of the men was telling me about a student who came over the summer, and I want to say, Pete, he was like 13 maybe, blowing him out of the water. He was a serious chess player. They were having a lot of fun with it. Of course, now he's back in school, so we'll miss him. But please feel free. And, if you haven't played chess in a while, that's fine. If you never played and you kind of always wanted to learn the game, it's just a great way to exercise your brain and just a super nice group of people. And I am working with the regional folks to try and to do a chess tournament at the Senior Center, like a weekend chess tournament. So we're working on that for the spring. Our Diabetes Dialogue Support and Education Group, I do want to announce, that will be meeting on Tuesday, September 30th. The date in the newsletter in the article is incorrect because I forgot to change it, and I have the August date in there. Well, obviously, that's already come and gone. It is right on the activity calendar. It's in the right place in the activity calendar, but in the article. So I just want to remind folks, they meet on the last Tuesday of the month, and this month it falls at the very end of the month, the last day, Tuesday, September 30th. The topic for this month is vitamins, minerals, and diabetes. And, every time I ask Jen Jafune, who facilitates the group, Jen is a licensed nutritionist and registered dietitian, and I'll ask her, as I'm doing the newsletter, getting it ready, I'll text her and say, okay, what topic are you going to talk about? She'll throw something out to me, and, then I'll go look it up online, and I'm like, oh my gosh, this is so interesting. I didn't think about that. I didn't know that. So that's the whole idea behind the group. It's a support and education group. So vitamins, minerals, and diabetes. And there's a lot more to this than you might think. So especially about, taking multivitamins or supplements, things like that. So she'll get into all of that Tuesday, September 30th. No signups for that, folks. And, as I mentioned when Dr. Lovelace was here, family members are welcome to join in that support group. Jen recognizes that a lot of times it's whoever's, sort of preparing the food or whoever's just the support person is welcome to attend and learn. A reminder that, of course, we have our indoor lunches Monday through Thursday. The meal is served from 11:45 to 12:15. And our Friday morning breakfast meals are served at 9 o'clock, are becoming ever more popular. So, you do have to register by noon of the previous day. So remember to do that. All right, let's do a couple of announcements of things going on around Westfield. Let's see. I'm going to start with the ones coming up. So tomorrow, Thursday, September 18th, Carol Palmer and I talked about this on the show last week. I'm pointing to where Carol was sitting last week. The Westfield Women's Club, it's not the Women's Club, it's the Women's Club, is having an open house tomorrow from 4 to 6 p.m. The Women's Club is located at 28 Court Street in Westfield. You can enjoy refreshments, music, you'll get a tour of the building, and you'll meet the volunteers that are driving their mission. So this is on the back of their little card here, postcard. Step inside of one of Westfield's historic landmarks. That building is a historic landmark as we plan renovations ahead of its 100th anniversary. Built in 1926, so next year will be the 100th anniversary, through the vision and dedication of our club's early members, this beloved space has been cared for by generations of volunteers with support from the community, and we're excited to share our vision for its future. So they do ask that you RSVP with a number of guests. That was supposed to be done a few days ago, but you know what, folks? I suspect that if you just want to get in there and check things out, they're not going to turn you away. So that is tomorrow from 4 to 6 p.m. at the Women's Club.
Welcome to the freshmen. You can see behind me. They're doing their one days in the shop.
I can. Hi, all you freshmen behind Pete.
And they can hear you now, too, in the hallway.
Yeah, I know, which is pretty awesome. Okay, the Alzheimer's Walk, this year's Alzheimer's Walk, it will be at Holyoke Community College on Sunday, October 26th. So you'll start to see signs for that, or you can go onto the Alzheimer's website and get more information about that. Stanley Park, we have coming up the Run Stanley 5K and the Stroll and Roll. So that will be on October 5th, which is a Sunday. That'll be in the morning. We had Nikki Cornelius on talking all about that and how much fun that's going to be. That is an intergenerational event. And I just want to remind you that if you want to get a T-shirt, a Run Stanley T-shirt, the deadline to guarantee that you're going to get a shirt is coming up this Friday. So my team from the Senior Center, I have usually we have like 5 or 6 of us that are participating. And we will be bringing, I think we are bringing the baby this year. We thought that she was going to be with Dad, but Dad has a wedding to go to. So we said, okay, we're going to bring the baby again, who's not a baby, she's a toddler now. But we're going to be doing the roll and stroll, and I think Carol Palmer will be there. We'll have some of our Totally Fun Fitness folks there. We would love to have everybody there. This is for young children, babies, middle-aged, young adults, all the way up to the elderly. So there are walks, there are rolling strolls, there are runs. Yes, and dogs. And you can do it. It's a canine too. So there's a trail run with your dog. It really is for everybody. Pete will be there. This is one of the fabulous community services that Pete will DJ for us, which we so appreciate. We're hoping for good weather. We've had great weather. I mean, so far, so knock on wood.
Yep.
So that's coming up. All right, let's take a short break. And then when we come back, we're going to talk about the fact that September is Self-Care Awareness Month. We've got tips for that. It is 7:46, folks. You are listening to WSFD 107.5 on your dial and WCPC Cable Channel 15. And this is a potato song because September is Potato Month. Believe it or not, I found it's called The Potato Song. All I Have to Do Is Grow. It's by Molly Whuppie. We'll be back.
I am from Prince Edward Island, and Prince Edward Island is famous for potatoes. And the other day I was thinking, I need to sing more songs about potatoes. I should probably write a song or something. And then out of the blue, this person sent me an email and they sent me a potato song that they had written. So here it is. I think it's a very good song. I'm a new potato under the ground. I'm a little bit scared because I've never been around. But there are other new potatoes along my row, and all I have to do is grow. Now the sun is warming the deep dark earth, and I'm pushing upward for all I am worth. I peek through the top, all the wonders I see. Light, sunlight, oh, it feels so good to me. And all I have to do is grow. I see rutabagas, artichokes, zucchini, and green peas. I see a funny human being digging on her knees. A butterfly flutters by and lands on me, and the sun keeps pulling me upward. And all I have to do is grow. Now I'm tall and full of leaves with flowers on the top. I hope I keep on growing, I hope I never stop. The gardener's tilled the cover crop of bright green clover. She's piled the dirt against us so we won't fall over. And all I have to do is grow. Now I am full grown and I'm sort of scared again. I'm starting to fall over and I haven't got a plan. But I feel underneath me and it makes me feel okay. I've made more new potatoes that will grow again someday. And all they have to do is grow. Yes, all they have to do is grow. Well, all they have to do is grow.
Support for the community programming of WSKB is provided by the Dunkin' Donut Shops of Westfield and the Sardinia family. It's nice to know that even as the world changes, Dunkin' Coffee remains the same at 7 convenient locations throughout Westfield.
Hi, it's Bob Plass, and I have, wow, it's Tuesday, every Tuesday, 6 to 8. Wow, it's Tuesday.
Community Radio.
89.5 WSKB.
I did it!
You're listening to 107.5 WSFD-LP, Westfield Community Radio in Westfield, Mass.
Good morning, Westfield. It is 7:49. You are listening to WSFD 107.5 on your dial. I slipped. I lost my cheat sheets on the wrong side here. And WCPC Cable Channel 15. My name is Tina Gorman. I am your Wake Up Wednesday host, and I am in the studio this morning with the chairman of the board and our chief engineer, who is trying to figure out this puzzle that he's got going with some audio hiccup that we have.
Yeah.
But he's working on it. Pete, I have every confidence
Well, I'm
in
trying to
you.
run scenarios in my brain because I don't want to do anything while we're on the air.
Yes, yeah.
Because that would be bad.
Right, exactly. But to be continued later on when we're off the air and Pete's going to work on this.
Yeah.
All right, so September is Self-Care Awareness Month. Self-care has become a buzzword in recent years. It's used in everything from marketing campaigns and product placements to health promotions and trending social media themes. And it can mean everything from trying new hobbies or practicing good skincare to taking vacations or indulging in after-work cocktails. So it's a pretty broad range here. But to be clear, self-care is far more than a trending marketing tool. It's actually an essential lifestyle choice that involves prioritizing things that keep you healthy in mind and in body. When done correctly, self-care isn't about buying products or selfishly indulging. It's about setting healthy boundaries, making healthy choices, and preventing the negative consequences of stress and self-neglect. That's why September is Self-Care Awareness Month, a national campaign that aims to spread awareness about the importance of regular self-care. If you tend to put your own needs at the end of your to-do list, now is the perfect time to focus on prioritizing your physical and mental health. It may feel uncomfortable at first, but these quick ideas can help you get inspired to fill your own cup before you pour into others. So here are some tips for Self-Care Awareness Month. Sleep. The days are getting cooler and shorter. If taking this as a cue to get more sleep is good enough for bears, then it should be for us as well. So make sure you're getting enough sleep and rest. Move around. Moving around, getting on your feet often, and generating a good blood flow is good for your spine, your heart, and your overall attitude. And, you know, I have to say, like James Jordan works in veteran services. He's at the senior center. And you will often see James, you know, just kind of taking a walk around the parking lot.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, it's just kind of like, hey, I've been sitting at my desk. I've been at my computer. I need to, you know, get a breath of fresh air, take a lap around the parking lot, get some fresh air, come back in, say hello to my coworkers, and so it takes 10 minutes and then get back to work. So I think that's important.
Yep.
Develop and maintain a strong social support system, which Dr. Lovelace and I have been talking about this morning. Whether you make that weekly phone call to your children or you decide to reach out to an old friend, keep your social circle sharp. Be a friend and a support to others, and you will experience the immense reciprocation from them. Treat yourself. This may seem like an exercise in self-indulgence, and that's exactly what it is. But there's a marked difference between a self-indulgent lifestyle and treating yourself. When you treat yourself, it's just kind of a I'm busy, I'm doing all of these things, but I'm giving myself a reward. Indulgent lifestyle is like thinking about that all the time. Different thing, but treat yourself. Play with pets. Spend time with animals. Play with your pets or your neighbors if you have their permission, and feel better yourself. Head over to the park and feed the ducks. We have Stanley Park, we have ducks, and I have a volunteer who does that almost on a daily basis. Even just bird watching from your window. So if you're in the right neighborhood, that can be a fascinating couple of minutes. So my granddaughter and I, every morning, we pull up the shades in the backyard, and we have sort of an area with some bushes between our house and the neighbor. And the neighbor behind us has all kinds of bird feeders and feeds the animals all over the place. So, we've got all kinds of animals. So we'll pull up the shades and we'll look for the birds. We'll tap on the window and see if the squirrels or the chipmunks. We have some bunny rabbits back there. And it is just great. It's soothing to the soul. Laugh. A good hearty laugh can help to completely turn a bad day around or act as an icebreaker in a tense or uncomfortable situation. So finding ways to laugh more often is an effective step toward better self-care. And sometimes just surrounding yourself or being with another person who makes you laugh. I mean, I mentioned James Jordan earlier, kind of doing his laps and everything. He is an amazing storyteller, and I can just start laughing and he'll take like an everyday event, taking his dog for a walk or something, and turn it into this hilarious story and scenario. So, make time to laugh and find people who make you laugh, because that can be a lot of fun. And make time for a hobby. So self-care is inherently an exercise in balance. Try carving out an hour, a half hour, or even just 15 minutes to do something for yourself. You are a three-dimensional human being with passions and interests. You're not just a worker bee. Now, I know this is the pot calling the kettle black, because I love my work, and not just at my job. I do a lot of work at home, and I like a clean house, and I like tidying up, and I don't mind doing a lot of chores and things at home. So, but I have to remind myself, I have to have time for play as well. And then finally, again, as we've talked so much today, connect with others. But making small connections in random places, like a checkout clerk or another customer service individual, it allows you to turn outwards, and it facilitates being able to positively affect others, even if your interaction is no more than a few minutes. I'm a big one for interacting when I'm on the grocery line. And sometimes it's with someone, sometimes it's with the cashier or the bagger, or it could be the person in front of me or the person behind me, or, just kind of getting into a conversation. Or, sometimes the cashier will, you'll have a food item and they'll say, "Oh, is that good? I saw that on our shelf and I was thinking I might want to try it. What does it taste like?" Those kinds of conversations. So just connecting with other people. Obviously, we talked a lot today about connecting with family members and with close friends and so forth, but even just these sort of random acts of connectedness can improve your attitude. And
it's as simple as having family dinner.
Yes,
honestly.
Yeah, exactly.
Start with the basics.
Yeah, and Pete, I was thinking about both of us, because this thing where it says, where was it? Just to be clear, about, if you tend to put your own needs at the end of your list, now's the perfect time to focus. I was thinking about your deciding to resign from that second job and to kind of start to focus, as you said, like I have a life, and you.
Well, before you could, there was no way around it because I was running the household by myself.
Right.
And now that's different.
But now that's
the
different.
factor that changed.
Yep. So that was, and that was a big step for me. I've told a number of folks I am heading by myself solo. I'm heading up to Maine over the weekend. Mm-hmm. My oldest brother lives in Maine with his wife. He lives in Bar Harbor. They're down in Maryland for the winter, but they're in Bar Harbor till October. My brother from Tennessee is a retired attorney. His wife is a retired teacher. They are flying up to Bar Harbor for 5 days to be with my brother Mike. And I found that out. And so I called Mike and Marianne, my sister-in-law, and I said, would you mind if I come up too? And they said, of course not. Come on up. That would be great. So I said, don't tell Dave and Karen that I'm coming. I'm going to surprise them.
The mini reunion?
I have not seen my brother Dave since 2019, before COVID. He lived down in Tennessee. And I saw him. He had heart surgery, emergency heart surgery back in 2019. And I had happened to plan a trip at that time. So I ended up going down, and right after his surgery, haven't seen him since. Of course, we talk on the phone and we send emails and all that stuff. So I'm surprising Dave and Karen, and I'm driving up there this weekend, and I'm so excited. And in order to do that, I had to get my October newsletter finished. I had to plan this whole senior options event that we're doing tomorrow at the senior center. Yep. So, but you know what? I had a meeting with my family. I sat down with Grace and Gary, and like 3 weeks ago, and I said, I am determined to get to Maine because that is something I need to do for me.
Sure, yeah.
In order to do that, I'm going to have to put in a lot of hours. I'm going to have to go on weekends because I just had a lot of stuff that has to be in place. I have deadlines. I said, and I'm going to need your support, and I expect your support. And they were great. They've just been great. I mean, they've been really wonderful. And so I'm checking all the boxes. And I said, because I told my brother Mike and Marianne, I said, as long as I can get my work done and meet my deadlines, I'm coming up there. And I did, and I am. So there's my self-care. I'm taking care of myself a little bit.
Be gone with you.
Be gone with me, exactly. It is 7:59. You are listening to WSFD 107.5 on your dial and WCPC Cable Channel 15. I am signing off. I will not be. We're going to do a best of show next week.
Correct.
I'll be back from Maine, but still, jet lag.
Sure,
just kind of recuperating
Yep.
a little bit. A reminder that part of the reason I'm coming back next Wednesday morning is our Stand By Me support group. It'll be our second meeting. I hope that you'll join us. The 3 people that were there the last time, just great chemistry. Already that group is starting to build. So please feel free to join us. And following this show is Everything Southwick, so stay tuned.
Jack Cotton, Kids Music Channel.
I can go any place, I can meet anyone, I can learn anything. When I read, I can see in the future, I can be in the past, I can dream any dream. When I read, I can use my imagination. When I read, there's no limits to my exploration. I can fly in the sky, swim in the sea. When I open a book, there's so much I can see. Whoa, I love to read. When I wanna smile inside, any place, anytime. Whoa, I love to read. Day or night, rain or shine, black or white, feel alright. I can go any place, I can meet anyone, I can learn anything. When I read, I can see in the future, I can be in the past, I can dream any dream. When I read, I can use my imagination. When I read, there's no limits to my exploration. I can fly in the sky, swim in the sea. When I open a book, there's so much I can see. Whoa, I love to read. When I wanna smile inside, any place, anytime. Whoa, I love to read. Day or night, rain or shine, laugh or cry, feel alright. I love to read all by myself or with my father father or mother. I love to read with my grandma or with my sister or brother. I love to read every day, it makes me so happy. I love to read all by myself or with my family. Whoa, I love to read when I wanna smile inside, any place, anytime. Whoa, I love to read day or night, rain or shine, laugh or cry, feel alright.